good, bro?
Chilling. How you doing?
That's right. Chilling.
Man, taking it easy, relaxing.
Yes, sir. All right, so this is Beyond the Cans. I'm GaKnew Roxwell. It's my brother Cre8 right here. RTN, the leader, the head of RTN. Huh.
Yeah.
All right, what other crews you associated with?
Well, I'm also connected to West Coast artists and Last to Survive, Soul Kings. You know, been repping that for a lot of years.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about the birth of RTN. Like, what made you start RTN?
That's a good question. Well,
And when?
That's a good question. I wasn't the only one. It was 5 of us, the original members. We started like probably sometime in 88, roughly 88, 89, something like that. I remember we was part of another crew called Coast to Coast Artists. And Coast to Coast Artists was a big crew though. It had so many members, we didn't know who was who. And the way I came up as a writer, I knew that it was all about the art and doing stylized lettering and doing our pieces. CCA, Coast to Coast Artists, you know, there was some people that was into that, but then the crew started to become so big where people focused on tagging, racking, and just hanging out. And that wasn't how I came up in the culture in the beginning. So I got turned off by a lot of that, and I ended up like started to pull away because I respected the high up artists that was really doing some impactful work, and I wanted to be part of something that was meaningful. So I was one of the only people. I ain't saying I was the only one, but I was one of the only ones that was getting out piecing a lot back in those days. There was other few members of Coast to Coast Artists that was painting, but not as much. So when I decided to pull away, which came from an incident on the 108 bus line, which is the Slauson line. We used to hang out at the Fox Hill Mall at the arcade a lot. And one day we was leaving the mall, we got on the bus, and when we got on the bus, there was some other young dudes in the back of the bus with us, and they started writing, and they wrote CCA. So we looked at each other, me and some of the other buddies, we looked like, who are these dudes? And they was right amongst us, close. So we said something to them. We were like, who are you? They were like, I'm so-and-so from Coast to Coast Artists. And me and my buddies looked at each other again like we had this smirk on our face, like, what? We said, who put you in? And one of the little dudes said the person name that was sitting there, which was Castro.
Oh.
And so we looked at each other like,
I gotta get Castro on here.
It was crazy. We had to check them dudes. Castro said, hey man, I didn't put you in, and don't ever put my name in something that I had nothing to do with. The dudes felt embarrassed. We said, man, how long y'all been writing for? The first dude said, man, I just started writing the other day. We asked the other dude, how long you been writing? He said, same thing with me too. We were like, don't ever do that, man. You have to, really be official to be part of something. I was laughing at that, but then also it made me think, see, this is why it's important to run a tight crew. Don't just be letting everything happen. We can't control everything, but it sort of pulled me away because it was a buildup of not seeing everybody being productive. Then I seen the Tories trying to be part of our establishment. So I branched off and told the rest of I told Choice, I told Flex 2, my buddy Javier, which one of my Latin brothers, his name was Aces, and Wiser. Yeah, I made the 5th. Wiser was one of my understudies at one point. And we was all about going and venturing out to different parts of the cities on the bus back then. So we went to the west side on Pico and Sepulveda one day to go to the West Coast tracks. So we go to the West Coast tracks to go take pictures of pieces. I was into taking photos of people pieces on the wall. So we go there that day, take pictures of the pieces, and then on the way back, we walked from the West Coast tracks all the way to the motor yard in Culver City. So as we walked back over there to the motor yard, we seen all them good pieces at the West Coast tracks. And so then I said, and maybe a few other people, we all was in agreement. We like, damn man, we got to step our stuff up and be like some good quality stuff. And so next thing you know, we like, man, we got to come up with a different crew. And that's when we came up with, we started thinking all different kind of names. So one of the homies said, let's rock the world. I was like, we not there yet. So we were like, well, man, what can we come up with? I was like, well, we could say we rocking the nation. And we all was in agreement, and we all agreed upon rocking the nation. And from that point, 80, like I said, late 88, 89, roughly, something like that, that's when we came up with rocking the nation. Our focus and our goal was to strictly focus on piecing. Less tags, more piecing. I ain't saying we didn't get up, but in our younger days we did. We got up strong. But our goal was to reach that pinnacle of like the other crews that was established that had reputation of quality pieces. And so that's why to this day I focus on pushing for that, grabbing people that are more focused on reaching those levels. We always felt like it was important to have quality artists in our crew versus just having anybody. Back in them days though, we were still trying to make a name for ourselves, so we did slightly grab people that was getting up, but that was to a minimum. And if they did do that, they was a benefit to us because they did other things as well that was a little bit more out the box, but they did it, and it was a benefit because we was able to have a whole lot of painting supplies. So you know what I'm talking about.
Right. So it seemed like, I mean, you know, like I feel like when I was, I'm a bit behind y'all, right? Because I think you, when did you graduate high school?
91. I graduated from Crenshaw High School, class of 91.
Right. So, and I graduated in 94.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm like 3 years behind you.
Okay.
So, like, for me, middle school is when, in my mind, tagging was exploding, because that's when I had came from the east side to the west side. And the east side, it was more like gang stuff, you know what I mean? And on the west side, I started going to John Burroughs. And and that's when I really started seeing like tagging on the bus, and I mean, you know, and so I got into that because, you know, that was my circle where everybody was doing that. But I feel like it's a difference between even tagging with like markers and streaks to then with cans, you know what I mean?
It's a big difference.
It sounds like to me, even I feel like people tagging and piecing is all lumped together, right?
Correct.
But it sounds like to me it's a bit of a difference, just in listening to you talk. So can you speak to that? Like, what is style writing?
Well, see, when I came up, I could relate to you what you were saying. In 1982 is when I first dibbled and dabbled into getting into graph, because I came up in the streets of South Central, and all I saw back then in the late 70s, early 80s was block letters and Old English and creative cartoony characters, not graffiti style characters like
gangster
what we
characters.
Yeah, them gangster characters with,
Right.
with the fresh fingers and stuff like that. So because I seen that, and watching cartoons and looking at album covers, artwork back then, and movie poster like Star Wars and other type of illustrated work, it made an impact on how I saw things. Plus, my uncle, my father's brother, he was a real good artist. So when he was at my grandmother's house, he had an art table and he would draw, but his stuff was clean. He was copying other stuff that he saw, but he executed it with precision. And I was young and I was impressed. My other cousin, he was like a little young player, like that was his style. So he always had a cool vibe about himself. So he would write in his little hood style, and my other uncles would sit down and write their names and do the Suzuki S, and then I would mimic that, and then I started doing bubble letters. And so 1983, I was, 82, because that's when I started popping. Third grade, third grade, 9 years old, is when I started doing stuff on paper, and I was really into it. I started drawing people names in the classroom for a quarter. You know what I'm saying? Because I was into making money, at an early age. And I would the only reason what motivated me to make the money, I like money, but I wanted to buy these big cookies they used to sell at school at Nutrition. They sell oatmeal raisin, they sold chocolate chip. My mom didn't like me to eat a bunch of sugar, so she would say, hey, I don't want you to eat that. Maybe every now and then she'd give me a quarter to go buy it. But I was so determined. If I wanted something, I'm getting it. So I was that kind of person where I'm like, okay, if you ain't gonna give me the quarter, I'm gonna find a way. And I realized that my talent back then got me what I needed. So I was drawing them people names in the classroom, and by the time I look up before the bell rung, I didn't do my schoolwork. I was getting quarters, went and got the cookies, and I was good. Okay, moving forward. Then I graduated from elementary, all the way to junior high school. Junior high school. Now, mind you, I was doing graph. I was writing on the bathroom walls at school and on the cafeteria lunch benches. That's still Mickey Mouse to some people, but that for a kid, I was busting.
It, right.
And other people that grew up with me back then that still exist, they could vouch for that. So anyway, moving forward, junior high school. Now here's where it starts to go different. I'm watching B Street breaking, stuff like that. I seeing stuff on the subway train, then I see stuff on the handball courts. In LA or in the alleys. I'm starting to see stuff at the parks on the bathroom walls with like colorful stuff and character with Kango hats and ski goggles, and I was mimicking that. And I was like, man, I got to get to this level. I was also still seeing clean gang writing. My father would go to this liquor store over off of Vernon, and these dudes, the Chicano gang, they hit their hood up clean. And man, like the highlights was clean, the 3D was accurate.
Oh, like that,
It was like that. And I remember my dad say, "Stay in the car, don't get out the car." But while he in the store, I'm sitting there staring at this big old Blockbuster, like man, and it blew my mind. Moving forward, so by the time I get to 7th grade, 1986 roughly, probably 85, 86. That sounds crazy. Damn, that's way back. So 85, 86, I'm in 7th grade. I come into the school. I was a different kind of kid. I wasn't really into like doing little silly, goofy stuff. I was always with a serious demeanor. So first day of school, I'm in the classroom and I'm off to the side. I'm quiet. I'm piecing. I'm thinking. I don't know what I was doing. I was drawing. Let's say that. I was drawing. And I looked to the side, and this dude had a folder. It said Ray. And I looked, and I was like, damn, that's different. You know, that was the first time I seen something like that so good. So I got nosy and got up and said, hey, what is that? Did you do that? He said, no, my buddy named Scripto. I was like, who? That's a different kind of name. I said, oh, Scripto. He said, yes, his nickname. He said he's from a crew called the Midnight Graffiti Masters, the MGM. I was like, oh.
That's a dope-ass name.
Yeah, Scripto from the Midnight Graffiti Masters. I was like, damn. I was all intrigued by that. I said, man, I like that. Like, can I just look at it? He said, go for it, look at it. I was like taking mental pictures like, damn, that's fresh. That's when I met Ben Grimm too, because Ben Grimm was sitting right behind him, beatboxing, Run DMC sucker MCs. So he was beatboxing, the other dude graphing. I said, well, he said, well, what's your name? I said, I'm Eric. And he said, okay. I go to second period. That's first period. Then I go to second period, history class. I'm in there doing the b-boy with the ski goggles, the bomber jackets, and the Kango hats. That paints a picture of the time frame where I come from, right? So next thing you know, I'm in there busting. I was the first one in the class that day. History class, Miss Lake, little short, light-skinned lady with a little hairdo. And he wasn't my buddy at that time, but two dudes came in there, and they came in there belling. And they looked over me. They walked past me, but they looked at my paper, and the dude said, man, what is that, man? I said, that's an MC. And he laughed, and I got offended. I said, what you laughing at? He said, that's not an MC, that's a b-boy. He said, you know what a b-boy is? And I felt ashamed because I was like, I think I do. I heard it in Run DMC song and Curtis Blow. He said, man, a b-boy is somebody that break, somebody who do graffiti, somebody that DJ, somebody that rap. He said, do you do all that? I said, well, I break, I do graffiti, I write rhymes. I don't DJ because I'm a kid still, but I do my thing. So he said, hey man, he said, I need for you to kick it with us. He said, because I'm gonna introduce you to some other people.
Oh shit.
Soon the bell rang for nutrition. He brought me around the elite top tier of dudes. For me at that time, they was in the 9th grade, but they was going to this place called the Club Radio back in the day, where Ice-T performed and other people, like they say Madonna was there back in the day. When he introduced me to these dudes was top of the line B-boys that was like off the charts. When they was head spinning and windmilling, they feel like a fan. You know, that I was like, damn. Like, to make a long story short, I got introduced to this guy named Bazaar. Bazaar had a real fancy, like tags back then had more flavor and style. Like, so this dude named Bazaar, I met Bazaar, Air One, Slim, and Biz. So these dudes, the way they dress code, they had like the fresh leather jacket with the fur on the back. They belt buckles with their name, Adidas shoes that was fresh and clean, Lee jeans, Latifah
B-boys for
they
real.
was B-boys for real. So when I met them, I didn't dress like that. I didn't dress like a nerd, but I wasn't dressing like them.
Just regular, right?
I was just regular. So these dudes look at, what's up, little homie? I said, what's up? They said, what you do? I said, I break and I do graffiti. So one dude chuckled. That was Bizarre. He said, let me see your sketchbook. So, I'm like, okay. Pull out my sketchbook. He gave me a little bitty leather book, a piece book, but I didn't know what I thought it was a school book he was handing me. Well, what is this? So I opened up the first page. Whoo, damn. Nice blended color with the designer markers. It was outlined clean. The background was done, foreground, middle ground. I'm like, damn.
Right.
This is like 86. And I'm like, man, what in the world is this? And I said, I'm rubbing the page because I couldn't believe it was so fresh, like an airbrush in the book.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, what kind of markers is he? He said, design markers. Right. I'm like, oh, who? Because I only knew about watercolors and crayons and stuff. I'm like, man, I don't know what that is. He laughed again. He said, don't worry, man. If you stick around, he said, I'll, show you some things. I caught up to that dude after school. One day I seen him walking. He reminded me of Run. He reminded me of DMC. That's who he reminded me of. So I saw him at the end of the block. So I ran. Hey, man, hey. He turned around. I was out of breath by the time I caught up to him. I said, hey, man. I said, how you doing? He said, what's up? He was real serious. What's up? I said, hey, man, I want to learn to be like you, man. Can you teach me how to be good just like you? And he looked at me up and down. He said, if you going to waste my time, don't bother me. He said, but if you for real, take down my number and call me tonight. Okay, sure. I feel like I was all excited right now. The number like I'm getting a girl number. So I'm like, cool, I got his number.
Right.
He said, call me. I called him that night. He said, oh, you called? I said, yeah. I said, hey, man, can you please teach me? He said, when you want me to come through? I said, let me ask my parents. I asked my mom and my dad, hey, can he come through and teach me? He said, how old is this guy? I said, he in the 9th grade. They said, why you hanging with 9th graders? He good. He's a good artist. I just want to be like him. My mom asked my dad, is that cool? He said, yeah, let the dude come through. But he said he got to come over here. So Bazaar come through with this big old boom box and a shoe box full of designers and Prismas. He's sitting at the table playing the cassette tapes. I'm bussing. He bussing. He gave me his book. I have to say that to paint this picture for the viewers because that was my mentor in the beginning. He the one that took me out and showed me about tagging. He showed me about the layovers. He showed me how to get up properly. He took me to the writer's corner in LA, different writer's corner. So he showed me the protocol of how to carry myself and how to go about getting up. He said, don't go over nobody pieces. If you're going to do something, you got to be better than what's existing on the wall already. That was number one. He said, and if you see a tag, you can go over the tag with a throw up. I said, what's a throw up? I thought he was talking about throwing up. I was unfamiliar with the word. He said, throw up is like quick bubble style letters and you get it up quick. I said, okay. He said, but a piece is when you see the colors and the letters and the arrow. I said, oh, okay. And next thing you know, man, he told me, you got to do it all. So I started perfecting my tag. I wasn't even Cre8 back then. I called myself Chili E. That was my B-boy name, Chili E. That sounds crazy. Chili E. That's what I call myself.
It fit for back then.
For back then, yeah. And the two dudes that I met, they introduced me to some more B-boys. And the homie named, what's his name, Mike? Sean. Sean had like some fresh B-boy characters, man, and fresh bubble letters, graffiti pieces, right? So when I met Sean, he was part of our crew, but he was the writer. And man, like, when I saw how he got down on the chord board, I was mimicking him. And next thing you know, man, there was a well-known writer named Mad. I had to mention these names. Mad was all city to an extent, of one of the early writers in LA that got up, that killed LA. And he killed it with nothing, but he couldn't piece, but he could get up. And this dude would do the whole bus windows, would do the front side of the bus. And I was so amazed that when I saw him get up, when he was at the school, same thing. He was a B-boy, like with his dress code. Adidas suits, Kango hat, gazelles, marker in his back pocket, ink stains on his clothes, and he had this cold walk. When he walked, he had a cold strut. And he walked across the campus, he had a serious look on his face. And I'm like, damn, who's that dude? He must be from New York or something. He looked like Run DMC, but he always had this other dude with him. Man, who's that other dude with this dude? So come to find out, me and him had the same real name. The other dude name was Eric. My name is Eric. But come to find out, that dude named Eric, his nickname was Cre8. He was Cre8, right? So Cre8 was right. See, I didn't know it said Cre8 though at the time. I just thought it was Cree, and then I was like, what is that? Crest? So my buddy Skier, he the one who said, nah, man, Cre8. I said, man, that don't even spell create. Create is Create. He said, no, Cre8. And I got it. Oh, that's Cre8. Okay. So when I met the dude, Eric, he said, hey, man, the bell rung one day, going to third period after nutrition. He, little homie, come here for a minute. I said, what's up? He said, man, something about you, man. I like your style. I'm in 7th grade, they in the night. And he said, man, I like the way you carry yourself. I said, oh, thank you. He said, from this day forth, man, it would be a pleasure and an honor for you to carry the name Cre8. He said, would you like to be Cre8 Jr. or Cre8 number 2? I was like, sure, because he hung out with Mad. Mad was that other dude. I said, I wanted to be connected to him some kind of way. And it's interesting because when he said that, that was my origins of becoming Cre8. And that's when I became Cre8. So that's when I was getting up. That's when I was out there, bam, hitting it up. Right. You know, I didn't hit the bus yet. I remember, man, I felt so damn proud to get that name. I felt like I was connected to a royalty family. Yeah. Next thing you know, I remember I got to school early one day, and I went to John Muir Junior High School on Vermont Slauson, and all my homies was hitting up. They was tearing the buses up in front of the little candy store in the morning. Chinese food / candy store. So they out there mobbing at the Vermont line bus stop, getting up hard. They dogging it. And I'm just the watch out at the time. Right. So my buddy said, hey, Cre8, you got to get up, man, get up. And I was nervous. Nah, man, I'm cool. And I had a marker in my pocket, a green one, I think. And next thing you know, they dogging that bus. They said, man, you better hit that bus, man. And I felt pressure. And I'm looking around. Oh, man. And the bus, it was at the red light. They all hit their name. I was the last one. I'm shaking, my hand trembling. And I looked around. I felt like I didn't want to be seen. So I went to the back of the actual bus where the grill is, but underneath where the white part was. And I wrote my name real little. I put Cre8 too, right? I would never forget that. And the bus pulled off. And that feeling I got when that bus pulled off, my hand was trembling. Everybody like, oh, he did it. He got up finally. Oh. And I had a big smile on my face like, yeah, I did that. And the bus pulled off. Later on that day, I was in class. That bus the bus go one way, turn around, go the opposite way. True story. I'm in class. I went to go sharpen my pencil, and I'm looking out the window. Guess what I saw? That bus I hit earlier that morning went by, and I saw my name, and it felt so good because it felt like a piece of me traveling through the city.
Right,
I'm like, I said, man, once I got that itch, Man, I'm back out there with everybody dogging it every morning. Bam, bam, and I'm getting it. I'm perfecting my tag. Bam, bam.
Right.
And then, but my pieces, because I hung out with Bazaar, so now I'm elevating because now I can get up fresh, sort of. My pieces was pretty good for a young person. Man, next thing you know, I blast off. I met a guy named Rish. Rish was my other mentor that taught me how to spray paint on the wall. So I got Bazaar and I got Rish. Man, I'm at a young age, I'm at a supreme level to be so young. I'm hanging around two of the masters to me from South Central LA. So I hang out with Rish, go to his house. He teaching all the young people in the hood slightly how to paint that really wanted to learn. This dude wasn't no joke. Letter, color scheme, fresh fillings. You know, I'm an amateur. I learned how to paint at the age of 13 on the wall. That was the first time I started spray painting on the wall. I was the first guy at my school to do an aerosol mural on the school campus when nobody else ever did it. You know, with the Crenshaw, everything, man. So I got up and did my thing. So that was my legacy of how I got into the writing and
the
stuff.
origin story.
I had to share that.
Yeah, for sure. That shit should be a movie, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's more to it. It could be one. But you could produce the movie. If
Hey,
you
I'm
want.
with it. We can start writing.
Yes, indeed.
So, what slowed you down from doing illegals? Like eventually, you know what I mean?
That's a good question. Okay, that actually goes back to when I was talking a little earlier in the beginning when I was saying that when I saw people like the original L2S West Coast artists, they was doing the Crenshaw wall back in '87, and then I saw the pieces. I realized that they was getting a different kind of respect for people that was getting up. Even though I did do pieces on my books, that's where I was best at is in my books at an early age. But for people who was doing fresh stuff on the wall, their respect level was up here. So what made me slow down was that I realized them dudes wasn't even looking at tags. To me, I don't think they was. I would like try to be like, hey, I'm Cre8. They like, yeah, okay, like whatever.
Right.
And then, but when I was looking at them and saw how they got their respect, I said, man, I gotta get there. And it made me slow down. This sound disrespectful to my homies at that time. I had to slow down from kicking it with them who was just getting up and racking a lot. And I started being at the yard. The yard was my playground for a young person like me at the age of 13, 14, 15, 16. I spent a lot of my time dedicating my life at an early age, always being in the places where the best work was being done. I had back then I had a 110 camera. So I would go to the yard and take photos. Even if I wasn't painting, I was just taking pictures, going home studying, looking at how they would color in stuff. And then when we moved to our location, at our house where we at, my mom and my father allowed me to be in the backyard on the back of the backyard where nobody could see it. They would allow me to practice on the wall. So I would be back there practicing can control. I would be practicing how to blend my colors. I would do pieces in silver because I was young. I couldn't afford a lot of paint. I wasn't into racking. I did do a little bit, but that wasn't my thing. I felt like that. I felt uncomfortable, even though I came up a few times. But my thing was more of I made money at an early age to a degree, so I spent money on paying my homies that was masters of coming up. I could get them $5. They'll come back with a big grocery bag full of supplies. So I was still winning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what made me pull away from just getting up. We got up because that was the thing to do, because we was taught that you had to pay your dues but getting up. I saw my name one day so many times on different bus lines that I felt like I did what I needed to do.
Right.
And that's when I slowed down, after I saw my name on a lot of buses that day. So when I saw that when I saw that people was getting respected for that, it forced me to always practice. I became good in my books. I gave attention to both. I gave attention to my letters and my characters because that's the way I was taught. Man, but when it was time to get to that wall, man, I went all out as a kid. You know, it took me a long time to develop, but I paid my dues. I had to learn about the tips. When I first got my hand on a bunch of Krylon, that felt so good at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. I got when I was like, I feel like maybe 19, 20, I got my first apartment building. And I lucked up because it was hard to find an apartment because I ain't had no credit history or nothing. But long story short, it was a DJ that used to DJ on K-Day. Damn, I can't think of what his name was right now. It was a Latin dude.
Ralph M?
No, it was
Tony G, Julio G.
No, it was because this was like end of the 90s. Anyway, long story short, he was a hip hop dude, and somehow he found out I rap, and that was why he gave me the apartment.
Oh,
but then he found out that I paint, and he was letting me go on the top of the building and like paint. I could put boards up there and paint.
That's
you
cool.
know, on the boards or whatever, but it was still Krylon was the thing.
I like that.
So I got this picture of me surrounded by Krylon cans on the roof of the building. Like that Krylon was the shit back then.
You got pictures of that?
I got pictures somewhere. Yeah.
Man, I hope you find that, man.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
Them kind of pictures is valuable, man.
Right.
You know, it's like me at John Muir. I came out in the yearbook. They had me in the classroom. I know I'm not from New York. I'm from LA, but New York to me was that they was putting in work.
Right.
Subway yard book, trains. Right. So I had a New York starter coat back then, you know, and I'm young. Because I'm trying to be like, let them know, like, man, I'm finna come with some fresh. People always thought I was from the East Coast when I was young. This older dude said, man, where you from, man?
Right.
I said, what you mean? He said, where was you born? I said, in L.A. He said, man, something about you. You got an East Coast type of demeanor and a swag. And I was 12 years old. I said, for real? To me, that was a compliment, you know.
I used to hate that. I got the same shit, but I used to not like it. Like, I'm from L.A. What you talking about?
Yeah, see, you know, we had pride in L.A., but when you heard the word New York, a lot of people was faking back in the day, putting NYC after they tag. But it was like, I don't know about that.
You're right.
So that's what made me focus strictly on piecing, man. After I saw all them bad burners, like even back in the day, Mark 7, Sane, Center, Riot, they did a piece on 38th in Vermont, across the street from the LA Coliseum. It was the liquor store called Skip's Liquor. Man, they did this bad production for back then in 86, 87, roughly, around there, when the movie The Fly came out, part 1. So they did this piece on the wall where Mark 7 did this fresh fly character with these big eyes, with these wings, and Sane from LTS did like this character of a little boy, but the face was like a pastel aqua green with these shades of aqua, with this hat turned up and with like a little pastel yellow, like you can see the collar on him, but it looked fresh. I don't know, but all I knew was like, damn, like that's fresh. Then I seen like the lady character with the mushroom behind her, which Mark 7 sketch and Sphere did. So when I saw that in them colorful letters, I'm like, man, whoo, that's hard. Then I saw the Crenshaw wall when Risky, Flame, Green, and a lot of other slick when they was doing all that heavy duty work on the wall. Risky over there too. And they was doing these high impact murals that none of us seen that kind of quality at that time. Like they character looked like it was coming up off the wall. So Green from SMD did this big huge character with a gold chain on, with the rope chain. He had shades on, he had a lot of hair, he had this cap turned to the side, and he had these big huge fingers. And the way it looked like the body was coming right at you, but it was top to bottom. And we ain't never seen nothing like that. And the background was with these bright, rich, vibrant, radiant sun colors. Man, to this day, anybody who speak of that character, they probably get chill bumped. That's how fresh it was. We ain't never seen the fingers done like that. And so when we speak about that one particular character in LA for South Central, that people will be like, hey, you remember that character that was on the wall with that big gold chain and that little green long sleeve sweater? Like, yeah, that's the one. So when we saw that, that took a lot of us to the next level. Looking at those type of things helped push us. Another good production that was on the Crenshaw wall back in the day was done by Dream, Green, and Slick. They did a Ryan Pays 88 for Ice-T on the wall, right? And Slick did a character with a dude with his hat turned back with some goggles on, and the character had a gun, and he had a chain on. Man, and it had money. Oh, the character had money in his hand gripping it. Man, and you can still see the eyes and the glasses. We ain't never seen nothing like that. We was like, damn, look at that. And then Green, he reduplicated the Ice-T logo at that time that was on the back of the first record. And it had the Uzi, it had the character with the Kango had turned to the side and the fresh B-boy eyes. And we seen that, we was like, man, I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for myself. What that did was made me say, that's all I'm focusing on. I got to get to that level, man.
So you feel like that was at the evolution and moving into murals?
I would say, yeah. I would definitely say that. Yeah, definitely. Because and then at that point, some people would be like, oh, man, like, if they couldn't get to that level, they wanted to quit. So a lot of people quit back then because they felt like they couldn't get to. They self-doubted themselves too quick. But in order for you to get to that level, you got to put in work. It ain't going to just you go to the wall and it be fresh. I would like to be like that. But I got discouraged, too. The first piece I did was for Clever because he passed away. That wasn't my first piece, but because I tried to do one on the back of the garage behind by my grandmother's house. Yeah, it was real toy. Everything was drippy. But when Rich taught me how to do it the proper steps is when I learned the steps of how to sketch it, fill it in, background, and then outline. And I was standing on, he had a Cadillac. I was standing on front of the Cadillac. He parked it close to the wall. And my piece was in silver, true blue outline with a jungle green or some kind of clover green background, I think. And I did it, and it was raining, sprinkling that day, so my piece had drips. And I felt like a toy, and I was on the wall. But he told me, he said, hey, man, keep practicing. And I'm looking at his work like, man.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I reached that level. Rich is still around. Hey, that's my buddy, man. That's my brother.
Hey, man, you got to get him on the podcast.
Oh yeah, he in a different state though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he in a different state.
Was a question? Oh, thing popped in my head. A conversation me and Mark was having. Mark 7. But like when you tell your journey, you tell the journey from going from tagging to piecing.
Yep.
To murals, you know what I mean? It's an evolution. But I've been in some spaces where it's like you got taggers now, and you spoke to the rules of engagement, right? Where you was taught like this, don't go over that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And from my rules of engagement, you don't tag on a mural like a dope mural. It's just art respecting art. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah. So speaking to that, it's like nowadays, it's a lot of kids tagging that don't respect murals, and I'm not talking about like street artist murals. I'm talking about murals that's done.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By people that's gone through the evolution that you've gone through. You know what I mean?
It's sad. It's sad because the respect level is gone with that and other things in life. It's the mentality of the people. It's like, man, it's like, why are you trying to, you can still get your fame, but don't do it over what I got going on. Or I was just on the 110 last night going to Pasadena. I just so happened to look to the right where Judy Baca, where she did her mural for the Olympics way back in '84, and she got that lady with the light aqua columns busting. man, these dudes went over the whole thing, man, with a roller. You can still see maybe this part, but like, man, I'm like, damn, man, that was historical, man.
Yeah.
They didn't understand the value of that piece. Was done in 1984 Olympics. It stood the test of time. It might not have been Graff, but that don't matter.
It's still an artist.
It was fresh.
Right.
The colors, her style, her composition. They probably like, oh, that's old. That ain't nothing.
But it was something. It was something to influence you.
There you go.
It was something that we ate off of.
Yeah.
I know, like, I from Compton, so like when I was a kid, it was these murals on Willowbrook Middle School. That was it wasn't Graff. It was like brushwork or whatever. But it was these big faces that was like Middle East. It was like a black man. I don't know, from when I was a small kid, because I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club in Watts, and I would have to walk from Watts to my aunt's house in Compton, and so I would pass it every day, and that's art that I was soaking in. Like, my aunt was an artist, my cousins was artists, but they was using pencils, and that was like paint that I was soaking in.
Something
like
different.
That shit is amazing. You know what I mean?
That's
like
different.
I want to be on the wall. Like I want to paint something amazing like that on the wall. So like those murals, even though it's not done by graph heads or writers or with spray paint, it still speak to us as kids, young kids, artists coming up. You know what I mean? And I feel like you take away from it, if you're doing something doper, like you said, then that's still give back. You know what I mean? It's still giving to the community.
Still giving to
because
the community.
Now it's something doper to feed off of.
Yeah.
But to just like deface it, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's like the mural me and you did last year almost towards the end, when we did the kids with the ice cream and the flags and all that.
Yeah.
How many kids in that area, and adults or whoever, women and men, boys and girls, that affects them? I know it did versus what they had a blank wall before.
I mean, they was passing by saying it.
Yeah, man,
you know
they love that, man.
Like,
they got something from that.
Yeah.
And I value that moment, whether we there, but our spirit live within that wall, so that the people in that community could feel like, man, we got something special.
Yeah.
And I felt good. I'm pretty sure you feel good. We felt good, man, to be able to contribute over there to make it happen,
Honestly, that's what I love about doing murals, that you be in the hood and the hood come appreciate.
Yeah.
While you painting, you get to, so many times I've get to have conversations in different neighborhoods that honestly I wouldn't even get to have if I'd have a can in my hand.
Yeah, for real. It opens up dialogue,
Yeah.
I just did something at Venice Beach in February. The weather got a little weird. It started raining, so I didn't get a chance to finish the love piece, but I had to go back to finish it up. Man, I got so many responses from people. I did a black Cupid with the little mini fro with the crown on, and he had his bow and arrow,
right.
and man, he had some shades on. I rocked that, man. Everybody was like, yo, homie, you killing it. A couple of weeks later, somebody came and they didn't write on the piece, they wrote on I did clouds for the atmosphere.
Right.
So somebody came and wrote on the clouds with a big old thick marker. And I'm like,
why?
Like, man, why you do that, man?
Right.
So I had to go back, paint over it so nobody else won't think it was cool to write in the rest of this cloud. I kid you not. The only reason why I went back, because I didn't get a chance to take a good picture because it was about to get dark. I get up in the morning, go back to the beach to go take a picture. This thing came back and wrote again in the same, and it wasn't the same. What I went over to fit. I know I went over it because I saw it.
Right.
He came and wrote on it again. I said he must have came at nighttime, or he came early in the morning, or he lived around at the beach and he just like, oh man, like he felt like he wanted to get credit. I fixed it again.
Wow.
I said, man, I ain't went back because I am like, man, I don't know about all that. But anyway, I don't want to say that like that. But I'll say this. The respect level, some people want to write on things because they want to feel like they're a part of it. We can't tolerate that.
Right.